Hello. All right. Hello. I'm Richard Rowland, and I'm way too excited to be doing this. Um, I am here today. We are going to be continuing our prologue to the Midnight War. So for people who backed the Kickstarter, which is actually closed now, funded way over our target. We're very excited about it. But the Kickstarter Amboria role playing in the world under Starlight, for the people who backed that at the hero errant level, of which I think there were like 38 people that did this. 36, 38. Anyway, a lot of people that did this. You're going to be playing a game with Richard Rowland, who is me. And in this game, we're going to be actually, I've talked about this in previous videos on the channel, but essentially what we're going to be doing is playing through an anthology story that we're going to be sharing together, playing out together, sometimes with mutually exclusive goals. It's going to be very competitive, and it's going to be determining the outcome of a civil war in the lands around the sea, a civil war which will be known to posterity as the Midnight War. And so we had a great group from the Symbolic World that did the previous two episodes with us. You can find those on this playlist or down in the doobly-doo. And today, for our one final prologue episode before the Midnight War begins, I've invited back the OG group. So we have with us today Benjamin Feehan, who is one of my oldest friends, and first learned about, I don't think you first learned about Amboria, but I think your first real exposure to it was when we were driving in a U-Haul from basically Seattle to Dallas for 3 days. And there was like a whole day while you were driving that I just read you long form narrative poetry.
It was great. It really was.
Yeah, so Ben has been, and I think Ben was maybe actually the person who actually suggested doing a game in Amboria to begin with. So everybody owes him a lot in that regard. Um,
I've
we
been the
also,
primary benefactor, so
yes, we also have with us. I'm just going across, left to right, top to bottom across my screen. We also have with us my brother Arthur Rowland. Arthur was one of the original players in the Amboria group. So, and then do you want to say anything about your interaction with the world under Starlight, Arthur?
Um, I've made a lot of questionable decisions
Yeah,
in this world.
most of the problems that still exist today in the world under Starlight are the direct result of actions taken mainly by Arthur. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely left a lasting mark on the history of the world. And then
That's
we
that's really all I'm here to do on my
yeah,
stuff.
you're here to roll dice, make poor decisions, as we say, right? Um, we also have with me one of my favorite people to play any game with. And also she happens to be related to me as well, which means she's inherited the good looks, charm, and charisma of the Roland family. And this is my sister Hope. Uh, oh, not Roland anymore.
No. No.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is my sister Hope Pell.
Yes.
Oh, that's weird to say. Oh, that's weird. Hope is relatively recently married, and moved away, which we're a little sad about. So we're glad that she was able to zoom in. Um, I love playing games with Hope for many reasons. One of which is just the fact that she's so emotive. She cares so deeply about her characters, and somebody who cares about their characters is somebody that I want to torment. So we're really glad you're back with us today, Hope. Hope plays. We're gonna introduce everybody's characters here in a moment. But Hope is playing Vanara, so she's actually playing. Vanara is a man, and he's a man who fell in love, who got married, who had children, and basically every single one of his enemies tried to leverage that against him multiple times, and somehow he stuck it out. It was pretty fantastic. Today also we have with us my buddy PJ Nicholas Ward. PJ is a mechanic, and as you can tell, he's fresh from mechanicking. But PJ has been playing with me for a long time. He had his first introduction to tabletop role-playing games, playing some old school D&D, like basic and expert D&D, at my dining room table many years ago. And he's basically been in pretty much every major campaign that I've run for the last 10 years.
The second game I ever had at your house, my character died to very large rats.
Oh, that's right. PJ may also hold the distinction, and I haven't gone back and counted this up, but he may hold the distinction for most dead characters in a game in games run by me, like over the course of the years. It's either
Yes.
him or Ben, but I think PJ might have that now.
I only think I only have 2 characters that has that in Emboria, but the other games,
Yeah,
I've stacked them up pretty quickly.
especially in Tor, like there was like a session where you lost like 3 characters in one session. And then last but certainly not least, the most important person here is my wife, Sophia Rowland, who has been long before we were playing this together as a game. You heard all of the stories. You're the only person here who has actually read both failed novels, or rather had them read to you by a very young Richard, late at night on the phone, in our salad days. So anyway, so Sophie is with us today. She is playing Rayana. I'll have everyone just introduce their own characters in a second. But yeah, she's been with me from the beginning, and certainly none of this stuff would be happening if I did not. Everybody asks me, how do you get so much time to like publish RPGs and hold down a job and all this other stuff? Well, a big part of the recipe is that Sophie makes the time for me to do these things, and without her, that wouldn't happen. So thank you. And that being said, let's begin the Midnight War. When last we left our heroes, the companions had made it to the Red Isle, the Chamber of the Eight, a secret chamber in the catacombs far beneath the mountain. They were brought there by Rinsos to a meeting of loyalists, that is, people faithful to the missing prince Onwe, missing prince Galal, in order to discuss the lore surrounding the location that the companions had been told they needed to make their way to, the Well of Silence. From what they had been told by Nokur, if they could manage to take the pieces of the Anvil of Leninomen, which Anaris, Arthur's character, had accidentally shattered, altering the history of the world. If they could take those shards to the Well of Silence, they should be able to rebuild the anvil, strike it, and reset history back to the way it was before. There was a long lore session in the Chamber of the Eight as Rinsos the scribe produced, to the consternation of the less educated people in the room, a scroll full of obscure texts. Chief among these were some of the festal hymns for the feast of Wix Ranbo, the ascent of Orusena, and a fragmentary text known as the House of the Half-Ruin. All of it seemed to indicate a connection between the Well of Silence and the 7 offspring of a stone king and a mortal woman. One of these offspring, a swan maiden, like the one the companions had met in the Sirth Hatama long ago, had lived in the House of the Half-Ruin, a house built by her stone king father, which was half built of stones from before the stars were changed, and half built of stones from the mortal world. In the House of the Half-Ruin, there were various doors which led to a myriad of times and places. Now, the players with other characters, not this group of characters, but had actually been to the House of the Half-Ruin before. So they, that is, again, the players, not the characters, remembered that it had been guarded by a warrior who, if you kill them in contact, you are in combat, you are immediately forced to take their place as the new guardian of the house. They also remembered that one of the rooms they stepped into landed them on a beach outside a city under siege, and assumed that it must have allowed them to foresee the siege of Senkankar. Rinso's final trick was producing their guide, someone who could take them to the House of the Half-Ruin. This turned out to be none other than a future version of Tanglebur, heavenly scarred and with a hand of stone instead of silver. As you'll learn in a moment, Tanglebur is Ben's character. He no longer has his shard of the anvil, and he explained to the companions that they had tried to rebuild the anvil and had gotten it wrong. He then had used the House of the Half-Ruin to find his way back in time so that he could make sure his prior self got it right this time. As he explained it, as soon as someone removes their shard, they begin to die, leaving only a few brief moments in which they could assemble the anvil. Tanglebur was still at this point effectively immortal, and so he managed to survive when the rest of his companions died, but he lacked the skills to properly assemble the anvil. So they traveled back north to Chakor and picked up the blind Rayana along the way, since she had one of the anvil shards embedded in her chest. This is Sophie's character, and set out across the Chaith River and into the Surth Hatama. This was the first time the companions had been back to the Withered Wood in a long time, and they quickly ran afoul of its strange magics, meeting a strange half-giant who demanded a toll of their strength or their joy to guide them, though through a particularly thick and loathsome mist. They refused this, so the half-giant vanished into the fog, and they wandered long in the woods. Finally, after having lost precious time and becoming weary and bedraggled in the woods, they finally arrived at and found the House of the Half-Ruin. When they arrived there, they found actually old versions of themselves heaped in mounds of corpses around the entrance, as though they had done this many times. The future Tanglebur broke down and explained that, in fact, his companions had all been killed when he had come to the house, because they had fought the Guardian, and each one of them in turn had become the Guardian. They had continued to fight until they were all slain, leaving him to take the fragments and find his way through the house to the Well of Silence. He led the companions through the perils of the house, things both familiar and unfamiliar. A banquet hall, a room full of dancing people who turned into statues the moment anyone enters the hall, a door leading to a strange beach, a meadow full of children running and eating the flesh of a great giant, a place where it is raining boiling blood, a library of whispers, and so on. The companions made it through the gauntlet and came at last to the door, which, according to Tanglebur's future self, led to the Well of Silence. At this point, future Tanglebur began to act a little erratically, insisting on a highly specific order in which the companion should enter the room. Rayana grew suspicious of this, and finally, Tanglebur's current version decides to make a little bit of an insight check on his future self and comes to the conclusion that future Tanglebur is in fact stark, raving mad. This is maybe a little late to be figuring this out, but when they started to not go along with his plan, he grew increasingly erratic and finally revealed that, in fact, he is the house's new guardian, having killed all of his companions before. He'd led the companions here to lure them in and hoping that way to get another shot at the anvil. He had been driven mad by the house and by the Well of Silence, which had showed him all of his prior lives. The Tanglebur has been stuck in a constant loop of reincarnation due to some crime he committed in his past or future, and came to the conclusion that the thing that he was about to do, that is, kill the companions, take the anvil for himself, was the crime for which every version of himself had been condemned. He attacked Tanglebur and managed to badly injure both Tanglebur and Tanarendel as the rest of the party tried to get through the door and to the well. As they entered, one by one, Tanglebur and Tanarendel coming in last, they found themselves entering a place of peace. Rinso's theory had been that the Well of Silence contained the final moment, the place beyond the song of creation, before the new song began. His theory was that if the anvil, which usually only affects local time and events, were to be rung there correctly, it could undo all of the damage that the companions had done to the drama of creation. The companions were without weapons or armor now, but their wounds seemed to be healed. Tanglebur had his missing hand, and even Rayana could see. Tanglebur did nearly go mad looking into the well again, but this time he managed to keep it together. And they promptly figured out that almost everything else future Tanglebur had told them was a lie. In this place, it is easy to remove the shards of the anvil without pain or death. They did so, Vanara assembled the anvil, and Tengelber chose a side and struck it. As the silence overwhelmed them, they were bathed in light. It is important to note that at this point, the companions were missing almost a third of the fragments of the full anvil because of fragments that they lost or which were never recovered, one of them being embedded in the blind seer, etc. Anaris also wasn't present for this. They had no idea how to find the blind seer, even if he was still alive. And so, although the drama of creation was more or less rewritten, that is to say, the timeline was restored, the restoration was incomplete. And the new drama became a melding of the two. This brings us to the epilogues. Vanara awoke to find himself once again married to his beloved wife, Talaria, who, dear listener, you must know, had been Vanara as a family man when the timeline was damaged or reset. Before it was reset, he was separated from his wife, and in fact, he had a very bad reputation. She held him in great contempt. So this is a huge relief for Vanara and also for Hope to see that they were reunited once again. Their twin sons, healthy and growing, but they were not in Chakor, but rather in Senkankar, the holy city. And Vanara was not a country scribe and archaeologist, but a court scribe. In his conversation with his wife, it was revealed that in the wake of the events of the siege of Senkankar by the Nyitbori, which many of the companions had taken a brief part in, and also convinced Onorama the Ball to help lift the siege, many people believed that King Anwe is going mad. Tenorandal awoke to find himself hunting on the moors near Chakor and near the ruins of his village. His life is much the same, but better in one respect. His father, Tenorandal Sr., who had been dead, was now alive, having survived the destruction of their village by the fallen star Mawish. And Tenorandal is no longer alone in the world. His father suggests that he marry the red-headed Fletcher, Tellini, a character for whom Tenorandal had been holding a torch for a long time, but who had gone missing and was believed dead. In the renewed version of the timeline, she was restored. Tengelber awoke to find himself standing on the prow of his new ship, the Venture Capitalism 3. He was with Thorinrai, who has been restored to her spear maiden version of herself. Those of you out in the audience who watched the previous two prologue episodes have already met Tengelber and Thorinrai. The two of them apparently on their way back to the Leopard Isles to win Tengelber's ancestral lands back and also deal with Thorinrai's old lover, the Prince of Midnight. Thorinrai makes a joke that whoever kills the Prince of Midnight would, of course, win her hand. And Tengelber accepts this completely seriously, which, if you know anything about Tengelber, is kind of a big deal for him. Thorinrai then laughed, blushed, and took his hand. And Rayana, meanwhile, found herself one-eyed, standing with blood on her sword before the entrance to one of the tombs of the Stone King, the objective for which she'd been searching since she first set out from the Red Isle all those years ago. Rinsos the scribe was with her, and the two of them set about opening the tomb, hoping to find in it the path which will lead them to the location of the missing Prince Galal. Now, dear audience, if you've watched with us this long and all of those references didn't make a whole lot of sense to you, I would say don't worry about it. This is catching the players up and also kind of reminding them, because it's been 2 or 3 years since we played this particular campaign together. So I wanted to catch everybody up and remind them what had happened. But also, if that sounds like a dope campaign to you, the good news is that's one of the things that's coming out as part of the Kickstarter. Thunder in the North is the campaign that we played together. Now, obviously, it won't be exactly the same because you'll make different decisions than we made. But all of the parts are there, and for you to make your own story in the world under Starlight. So with that being said, the next thing that we're going to do is skip forward a little bit in time to give a recap of what the last few years of history have looked like from the perspective of people in the lands around the sea. And then we're going to get into introducing each one of our characters for tonight's session, and one of the things, and then find out what they've been doing since the timeline was reset. And you'll notice Anaris didn't have an epilogue in the summary that I just read to you, and that is because at that particular point in time, due to life events, Arthur wasn't playing with us. But we're going to find out what happened to Anaris here in just a little bit. So, with that said, the history of the lands around the sea during the last few years. We're beginning in the winter of the year 457 of the third aeon since Senkan forged the Hur Orupeim and led the Amborai to freedom. Beginning in the late 440s and 450s, early 450s, rumors began to come to Senkankar of evil things stirring along the northeastern border of the kingdom. Cultists of the Taran Toror, the Bloody Vulture, attempted to undermine communities. Ancient evils awoke in the Surthatama, and in 451 a plague broke out with its source somewhere in the Chaith Wood. And although the spread of the fell disease was stopped, it proved to be a harbinger of evils to come. In 452, the river forts came under siege by the Naushpori, and the fortress of Yalir was captured, and only retaken after great bloodshed. Around this time, more and more confirmed sightings of the confirmed sightings of the Aryagbori, the great horned beast of ancient legend, were reported. In 454, a major insurrection broke out in the Leopard Isles, led by Zishune, the mother superior of the convent of the Ram of Dawn. Although the initial rebellion was ultimately squashed, it would break out again during the siege of Senkankar in 456. Currently, the Leopard Isles function as a semi-independent state, led by the mercurial and charismatic nobleman known only as the Midnight Prince, or the Prince of Midnight. I've heard it both ways. In the fall of 454, the Deep Men, the Nyetbori, every last one of them went missing, resulting in a major drop-off in sea trade, a severe economic depression for port towns and island cities. This isolation allowed the insurrection of the Leopard Isles to blossom and resulted in a reduction in Senkankar's influence throughout the rest of the kingdom. Any attempts to seek for the Deep Men or to sail much beyond the side of the coastline ended in ships being ensnarled in enchanted waters, broken by great sea monsters, or stranded on treacherous reefs. And in the spring of the year 456, almost 2 years ago now, the Deep Men returned, the Nyetbori returned, gathering in force and taking Koriksime, the harbor city near Senkankar, by force. Senkankar received warning in time, thanks to actually the people sitting here with me tonight, and the gates of the holy city were barred, leading to a long siege that wasted the population of the city and polluted or destroyed many of its surrounding towns and villages. The siege was unexpectedly lifted when Onorama the Bald, who in the meantime had seized the governorship of the northern province, marched to its relief. The Northmen drove the Deep Men back to the sea, and with the help of the city's garrison, shattered their ranks. The Deep Men fled, although they continue even up till the current moment to prey upon shipping. In the aftermath of the siege, King Onwai was forced to recognize the legitimacy of Onorama the Bald, who now ostensibly rules in Ralakar at the king's pleasure, although he is the de facto independent ruler of the north. There are rumors that Onwai is building a fleet to retake the Leopard Isles, but those in the know speculate that it may actually be intended for the Red Isle should the bellicose and always independent-minded islanders choose to take advantage of the current weakness of Senkankar. Concerning King Onwai's own state, the rumors are dire. It is whispered in the streets of Senkankar that the king keeps to his own quarters, ranting and raving for hours at a time. Only his Grand Vizier, the Baron Kjavista, is invited to his councils, and many people believe Kjavista is now running the palace, though they would never dare say so to his face. In these uncertain times, the people of the royal districts and of the islands are forced to look within their own communities for the strength to stand in times more evil than anything anyone remembers since the Civil War, or as people now refer to it, the First Civil War. As our session begins tonight, I want to ask all of you, except for Ben, to go ahead and drop out of the Zoom. And I will, in the Discord chat, I will message whoever's turn it is next. And we're going to do a little recap, but it's going to be privately with each of you. It'll be up to you at that point to decide how much you want to share, if you want to share, etc., about your goals and plans, about the things that have been going on over the course of the last year, almost 2 years, with your character. You could share a little, you can share a lot, you can share nothing at all, you can make something up, just depending on what you think is appropriate for your character to do when you guys all meet up here at the beginning of the session proper. So everyone except for Ben, drop out, and I'll message you when it's your turn. So, Ben, yours is actually not that big of a secret. Not all of these are secretive or nefarious or anything like that. It's just fun to create a little suspense. So you're on mute, by the way, but all right. So Tanglebur, the outlaw. Over the course of the last year and a half, you have spent the time since that fateful moment at the Well of Silence pursuing these somewhat contradictory goals of achieving freedom for the Red Isle, or sorry, freedom for the Leopard Isles, and also opposing the rise of the Prince of Midnight, which, since most of the independence movement is kind of led by him, as I said, these are somewhat contradictory goals. Revolutions are messy things. Recently, the Prince of Midnight sent agents to kill you and Thorinrai, your now your wife, I believe, and to kidnap her son and to take him back to the Midnight Prince. You are determined now more than ever to see that the Prince of Midnight pays. But to do that, you'll need to find out who he is, which nobody seems to know, and where he is, which also nobody seems to know. These are things which have thus far eluded you. However, you have contacts, a small but trustworthy network of contacts that you have been building up there in the capital city of the Leopard Isles, the city of Dlafki Clorpem. I want to say Kauri Clorpem, but that's the name of the island. But you've been building up a small but trustworthy network of contacts, mostly street urchins and circus people, which are the kind of people Tanglebur would prefer to hang out with anyway. So your goals are pretty straightforward. Do you have any questions about any of that?
I don't. I guess maybe my only real question about this change of affairs is, okay, what does my stepson feel about Tanglebur?
That's a
It's
good
a new
question.
relationship.
That's a good question. The boy is he's very attached to his mother, although hasn't actually had her around a lot, but she was always kind of like this sort of mythical person to him. So he's very attached to her, and because you have defended his mother, and because the two of you are together, he is and he's only 9, so he's not that it's not like he's a teenager. I would say he's like pretty friendly with you. Like he certainly sees you as a father figure, if not his actual father.
Has he been living this entire time? I know last session, Tanglebur and Thorin Ryan, he were living underground. Is that primarily where we're living these days?
So that's a good question for you to ask yourself and tell me, because you had a hideout, sort of like catacombs beneath the ancient monastery, guarded by dreams. What could be more secure? And yet, it was breached by agents of the Midnight Prince. So my question is, for you, I guess, and you don't have to answer this right now. You can think about it. Um, Knowing that your old haunts of like the Busty Baroness and the catacombs are compromised in that the Prince of Midnight has at least figured out that you are located there, you need to decide if you stay there and just trust that it'll be much more difficult to breach the catacombs without one of your medallions, or if you are going to try to find somewhere else to use as base of operations.
Excuse my son Ollie here. I'm not entirely sure what he's looking for.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Okay. Yeah, let me think about that. Because it's not like we can just go find a hut in the mountains to hide out at either. So
this is
gonna have to be-
basically this is your faction, so it's up to you to tell me what you where you want your hideouts and things like that to be. But certainly if you tell me the kind of thing you're looking for, we could work that out.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
figure that out.
Well, if that's it for you, then we'll once you go and drop off, and we'll bring Arthur in. All right. Do we have you?
All
There we go.
right. I am here.
All right. So Anaris, um, we just did Ben. The audience has already met Tengelbur because of the previous two epilogue episodes. Could you describe Anaris to us? Who is she? What is her deal?
Inaris is actually the twin sister of Venera, or so we thought, for a long time.
Now
And
we think maybe not so much.
maybe now we think that she was probably just found by her parents and has been told she was a twin this whole life, because she is also wound up in the immortality and reincarnation that Tanglebur is wound up in. And um, so, anyways, but she had grew up in a family where scholarly lore was a big deal, and she and Venera were raised together. And at some point, she was tired of being compared to her brother, who was smarter than her and exceeded in lore more than she did. So one day, she decided to strike out on her own and become a warden of the marshes. And
Marches.
marches, sorry, and is now a pretty badass spear maiden who rides a horse, and but also knows her lore pretty well. So
It's true. So yes, Anaris, the Spear Maiden, um, brought so much ruin upon herself and her companions through her decisions, through her striking the anvil wrong and critically failing, and then calling upon dark powers to use a point of dark fate to reroll and critically failing that one and shattering the anvil of Lananomen and just basically screwing the whole
I
setting up.
I forgot about the dark fate thing, and that
That was
really
on
is
you.
just
Yeah.
very painful.
Yeah. But when the anvil was put back together and rung by Tengelbur, you found yourself back at your old life as a March Warden. But as day after day, the drudgery of like the patrols and the skirmishes and the, just wore on and on. You found yourself having a hard time sticking with it. In fact, having a hard time sticking with anything. You've, for the last several months now, been full of a strange longing. After 6 or 7 months of this, actually, after over a year of this, you went to see a seer, a hermit living in the woods, who was purported to have the ability to hear the song that the stars sing, to ask him what you could do about this state of affairs. The seer told you of your fate as an Oruka, one of the long livers, one of the people destined to wander the corridors of time until you either accomplish some great task or atone for some great sin. And he tells you, your fate lies with Tanglebur. Hearing that your brother Vanara was about to set out sail for the Leopard Isles, you decide to hitch a ride with him. And the two of you will be arriving together in the Leopard Isles.
Okay.
Okay. Any
Very
questions?
cool. Do I still have the piece of the anvil inside of me?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, did he say anything more than just your fate lies with Tanglebird? Did he explain that in any way? Dang hermits and their vagueness. All right, that's all I got.
All right. So drop out. Hope is going to come on.
Okay, perfect.
Vanara, the court scribe. For the benefit of our audience, could you introduce Vanara, describe him to us, and also anything we should know about him as a character?
Vanara is a scholar. He originally set out, before all the world changing stuff happened, set out to the north to find the tombs of the Stone Kings. Unfortunately, he was never successful because he always got pulled into other
shenanigans.
Yes, that. And for a long time, he was secretly married to Talaria, which is Tanglebur's sister.
Yeah. So Ben's character's sister is an NPC. Talaria was also secretly married to Hope's character, and it was great. We played for like a year before he found out, and it was so fun when he
had to leave her to go out to the north to find his fortune so he could come back and all the parents be okay with them being married. And over the course of time, they kept getting separated for various reasons for long periods of time. It was heartbreaking. And finally, they're reunited. So, and they have twins who I actually don't know their names because I've never met them.
Twin boys. I think that I left it up to you to pick their names, so you're welcome to do that. Do you have the big new name document?
I don't.
I'll put that in the chat. Yeah, so it's up to you to pick names. Yeah, but the boys are about coming up on 3, I think now.
Okay.
So, right. So when Tanglebur rang the anvil and the timeline was healed or repaired or reset, however you want to say it, you found yourself not an itinerant scribe, living out, digging through old ruins in the north, but rather a court scribe. Working at the Royal Library under Nakur, able to give Talaria the life that she deserved. Over the course of the last 2 years, obviously rebuilding after the siege has been difficult, but you make enough money to live comfortably, if not extravagantly. And for a while, things have been quiet and good. And then, one day, Nakur calls you back to his chambers. Nakur being the chief scribe of the Emborian court, and also, as is known, it's more or less a poorly kept secret at this point, also the head of the loyalist faction in Senkinkar. And I don't know what to say, Vanara. Every time you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Always pulls me back in.
The fact of the matter is, as Nakur explains to you, and as you are no doubt aware yourself, things have been getting bad. There are rumors that Anwei has murdered a woman. Some say a mistress, his mistress. Some say a prostitute. in the very courts of the Queen's Pool itself. In fact, there are some rumors that he may have even drowned the woman in the holiest of all waters in the world. A horrifying act of murder and sacrilege. The city is run by the Grand Vizier, Baron, as I mentioned a moment ago, but also by his chief storyteller. Storytellers being the local euphemism for what are essentially the secret police.
This is that lady, right?
His chief storyteller, a woman you know all too well by the name of Falthanai. And as Nakor tells you, he believes that Falthanai has sent assassins to the Leopard Isles to assassinate Mother Zishune of the Convent of the Ram of Dawn. And in doing so, to frame the Midnight Prince for the crime, causing the revolutionaries to fight and squabble amongst themselves, making the Isle ripe for reconquest. You have no love for the lady Thalthanai, who, as you will recall,
Held my wife for ransom.
Held your wife for ransom, threatened to kill your family, framed you for murder, etc. And with no one else to send at this point, Nakor asks you to go. As you make your preparations to sail, your sister Anaris shows up, having heard that you were going, and hitches a ride for reasons of her own. And the two of you will be sailing together to the Leopard Isles. Do you have any questions?
So we're going to the Leopard Isles to stop the assassination, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions.
And obviously, you know that Tanglebur is there. You'll be able to get in touch with him and everything when you land.
Well, okay. Impose on his hospitality.
All right. All right. Well, if you don't have any more questions, we're going to let you drop off, and I'm going to have PJ come in.
All right.
This one's going to be fun, you guys. Watch this. If PJ rejoins. Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
PJ, Anarendal, the Moorland warrior. Can you, for the benefit of our audience, can you introduce your character and tell us just a little bit about Tanarendal, what his deal is?
So
what he's like?
Tanarendal is a warrior out of the north from Chakor. So he's had his fair share of hardships and troubles. Starting off quite young when his village was raided by the Nashbori, and at that time all of his family had died up until very recently when his father had come back due to the changing of times. And so ever since then he has had a personal vendetta against the Nashbori, particularly one of their commanders by the name of Malwish.
Yes.
Who he saw quite early on and had thought that he was defeated, but later come to find out that a being that's full of worms has a tendency to come back together eventually.
Yes. Malwish is basically like a living pile of worms and snakes. And yes, there are ways to kill him, but it's a riddle you never were able to solve.
No, and his part of what he has been doing is been trying to figure out that riddle.
Okay.
As well as maybe a little reluctantly at first, but eventually taking his father's advice to at least try to woo the red-headed Fletcher girl Tellini. And also, as what's also good to convey on the advancements that he got, has worked on improving his healing on the battle, as well as being able to being able to withstand more of what the enemy throws at him when it's more than just an arrow or an axe or whatever crude weapons
little
that
more
they
willpower.
use. Yeah, a little more willpower, a little more endurance.
Very good. So, the good news, Henarendel, is that your wooing has gone well. And it is 6 months now since you settled down and married Tellini and built for the two of you a home. Built a home for the two of you, a nice homestead out on the moor, maybe 4 or 5 hours outside of Chakor. You were aided in this by your friend and now basically, your patron, Onorama the Bald, who, remembering your loyalty to him and especially your great deeds of arms, the great deeds of arms which you performed in the battle in the hall when he was almost slain by traitors.
I do remember that.
Yes.
I lost my dad a second time in that battle.
Yes, and also like you fell down and you got up and you fell down and you got up multiple times. It was a great battle of which many songs are now sung. And because of this, you have kind of settled into like an early retirement. Onorama the Bald sees that your needs are met, but also trusts you as an advisor in his new status of essentially ruling the northern province. Now, you've been out hunting today and have been more or less successful. Managed to bring back several small animals, conies and waterfowl. Nothing really big, but this is pretty normal for hunting on the moor. And you're headed back to your cottage with, or your homestead with a string of game slung over your shoulder. You can see the light flickering, the smoke rising from your chimney in the distance. But as you get closer to the house, you notice the door has been left ajar.
He speeds up, getting to the house, leaving his catch on the porch as he goes into the house.
When you step inside, the door snaps shut behind you as two sets of strong arms grip either one of your arms. There are about half a dozen men in the room, most of them with weapons, some drawn, some not. They're all equipped as though they are legionnaires of the River Legions. But one thing in particular, makes you think that they're not. And that is that sitting in the middle of the room is not your lovely wife, Tellini the Fletcher, but a very beautiful, very cruel woman, one whom you have met before. Hello, Tanarendo. So nice to see you again. I love what you've done with the place. This is South and I. You met her first when she was the concubine of the governor. Later on, she framed you guys for murder, and then a bunch of other things. Then she was the governor's wife in the Leopard Isles. And anyway, this woman has caused a lot of trouble for you over the years.
Yes, she has.
Do you say anything?
It almost makes me wonder how in the world you ever snuck past Onorama or any of his men. Though I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. You're as cunning and deceitful as they come.
You're too kind. Flattery will get you everywhere, my dear. As it happens, those of us among the storytellers can come and go as we please. I have my agents everywhere, within Onorama's own household, within the River Legions. There is nowhere you can go that is safe, either from what I can do to you, or what I can do, or from what I can do to your lovely little wife.
What do you want?
A very simple task. You've done those for me before, haven't you? When it served your purposes and mine. When I needed a patsy for the assassination of the governor, Neratso, and you and your companions were more than happy to be present.
Yes,
You also recall
yes,
that
though unwillingly.
you also recall that once upon a time we made a bargain, and you swore a great oath. And that bargain was to undertake to slay, to assassinate, either by poison, fire, drowning, sword, or happy accident, I care not. One Zishune, Mother Zishune, the abbess of the convent of the Ram of Dawn on Kaur e Klor Beam, in the Leopard Isles. You and your friends swore to kill her, and yet, when push came to shove, you decided to abandon your oath and drive me and, at the time, my husband out of the house which we were then inhabiting.
Your husband?
You'll recall that at the time I was married to the governor of the Leopard Isles.
Oh, did you kill him too?
Me? Oh no, of course not.
So you framed someone else to take care of him.
Why would I do any killing myself when I have people like you? Now, as I see it, you still owe me a life. And I have something of yours. If you want to see your wife again, if you want to keep this homestead, if you want to keep this life which you've made for yourself, go to the Leopard Isles and finish the job.
All right then. Seems you haven't given me much of a choice. Now have you?
There's a good boy. You'll be provided with money for the journey and a ship to bear you there, and I believe you've already got friends in the area. They should be able to get you close to the abbess. Finish the job. I'll know if you don't. Once it's done, your wife
always know everything.
Once it's done, your wife will be released to you. Do we have an accord?
Yes.
Very good. So, with money in your purse and a ship provided you, you set sail for the Leopard Isles and arrive about the same time that Vanara and Anaris will be arriving from Senkankar. Do you have any questions?
Not that can be answered out of roleplay.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to have Sophie come on.
Okie dokies.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Last but certainly not least, Rayana. Could you introduce Rayana to the kids watching along at home and tell us a little bit about her and
Okay.
maybe describe her for us?
All right. Rayana is a woman of the Red Isle. She's Wex Rambori, that makes her cultural virtue born to the sword, which is a very accurate description of Rayana's entire life. In her younger days, she was a dangerously beautiful woman, but a warrior's life has left her with hideous scarring. The most notable scar being one that runs across her face, obscuring her vision in
She
one
has like
eye.
one glassy milky white glassed over eye. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She has very long red hair, and she bristles with weapons, the most notable of which is her red fang longsword, which pretty much never leaves her side.
Yeah, she's got more weapons on her than like a Call of Duty character.
Yeah.
So Rayana, the warrior, and the seer. You went with Rinsos in search of the tomb of the Stone King, and after many trials, you found it. And it changed you. Your character, in addition to your your martial accomplishments, Rayana has also become, we discussed this earlier, but for people watching along at home, has also become a tomb reader, one of these seer traditions in the world under Starlight. That is to say, so she has come into contact with, I knew you'd be super disappointed. That is to say that she has come into contact with the the sort of pre-lapsarian image of the world, that a vision of the world unmarred as it is engraven in the tombs of the Stone Kings, and it has permanently changed you, granting you the second sight and the ability to see to other times and even other fates. Following entering the tomb of the Stone King, you and Rinsos wandered the corridors of time until you came at last to the Black Hills, to a dungeon, to a vault far beneath them, where Galal, the true prince, was being held. What you found there was a broken man. Although he had never bowed the knee to his torturers, his sanity was all gone, and only a shred of dignity and humanity left to him. And yet he still had the sword, the Hur Orupeim, which the Nalshpori in their darkness would not touch. Freeing him from his chains, taking up the sword, you brought him back to the Red Isle, where he is now hidden. Far from being a source of great joy to you, this has only multiplied your burdens. The Prince Galal, or the King Galal, the King Anwe, they say, is going mad, but Galal is something worse than mad. His mind has been shattered by the torments that he has endured, and his body is almost completely broken. Whether or not there will be healing for him, and so for the lands around the sea, remains to be seen. Certainly, none of those loyalists in the Red Isle who are aware of his presence believe that this man could ever lead a people, could ever take up the sword. But Rinsos thinks otherwise. Rinsos is also gifted with the second sight, both a scholar and a seer. And he has had dreams, visions, that Galal will be healed when the ancient tokens of the monarchy, the ancient tokens of kingship, are brought to him. The Hur Orupeim is one, but the others are kept in far-flung reaches of the lands around the sea, and they must be gathered. They must be gathered if Galal is to be healed. One of them is the Hur Orupeim, as I mentioned. From the Chebori, from the lands of the north, there is the gem of Fanhal, a gem of golden amber, which once glowed upon the ancient hero's shield. There's the crown of the deep, the Nyetbori crown, with which all kings of the Amborai have been crowned since the time of Senken's son, Ranhor the Builder. What became of this crown, no one knows, since the great Nyetbori city sunk into the deep, but presumably it's still out there. The key of Ranhor, held in the deepest vaults of the Wex Ranbori, the Red Isle, is easy enough to find. But the fifth token of kingship,
The key of what?
the key of Ranhor,
Ah.
Ranhor, Ranhor the Builder, is the second king of Emboria, Senken's son, and he's the one who established the Red Isle as a fortress. The fifth token of kingship, though, presents almost as great an obstacle as the crown of the deep. And that is the mantle of midnight. This is the ancient Black Panther skin cloak, which Aner Kanera, the son of Orusen, sorry guys, we're about to hit the pause button and do like a little break so we can all get our various kids down. One of the things about playing together for long periods of time is that we've all had children. You know, like some of our campaigns are older than our kids. So, yeah. So just to wrap up real quick, Sophie.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
Back momentarily.
Sorry. This is
the mantle of midnight.
The mantle of midnight. It is the Black Panther skin cloak, which Aner Kanara, son of Orusen, made from the hide of a great mythical Black Panther which once ruled over the Leopard Isles, known as the Son of Midnight. And this is the fifth token. In fact, on the seal, like the coat of arms and the seal of the kings of the Amborai, these five items, these five tokens of kingship are all portrayed. The mantle and the crown of the deep and the gem and the key and the sword. But the mantle is somewhere in the Leopard Isles. And you have been tasked by Rinsos and the other loyalists in the Red Isle with traveling to the Leopard Isles and attempting to recover it with the hopes that you will be able to slowly restore the mind of the lost prince. Do you have any questions about any of that? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell everybody to rejoin. We're going to pause this so we can get kids down. And when we hit play again, everybody should be back. And we're back. So it is in the winter of, to be specific, in the month of Garini the Raven, when you all, I guess it's actually, yeah, winter. Man, I just totally
What
had
month did the year start?
It starts in the month of Orusen, the sword.
Orupim?
Yeah, sorry, Orupeim, the sword. Sorry. The Feast of Orusen is in the month of Orupeim, but yes, the Feast of Orupeim, the sword. There are a lot of words that mean sword, including Orusen, which could mean like, yeah, anyway. Yeah, so I'm sorry, not the month of Garini the Raven, which is in the fall, but or the summer rather, but it's the month of Ibram. And we are just in the after feast of Ibram, so around the 20th of Ibram when this adventure begins. And yes.
While we're talking about it being the month of Ibram, would it be a good time to take the auspices, or
This
are
would
you
be
going
a
to do that in a minute?
great time to take the auspices. Yeah, so for people watching along at home, there's something you do with oracular traditions, so seers, where you can take the auspices, that is, basically find out what's going to be auspicious and inauspicious this season. So let's do that real quick. Pretty good roll for you and for seers in general. You get a +4 to your devotion. I think Sophie's character is the only seer in the group. But yeah, you get a +4 to your devotion pool this adventuring season. Additionally, urban skills are considered to be auspicious, and martial skills are considered to be inauspicious. And then as you are a tomb reader, you also get flat 1d6 devotion points.
I just rolled a 3.
All right, very good. So, there you go. So that's a total of a +7 bonus to your devotion pool, which, since I think your devotion pool is rather low, that's actually it's going to be a big help.
Really helpful.
Yeah, big help this adventuring season. All right, very good. So, yeah, so it is the month. It's in the after feast of Ibram, right? The feast when the Amborai, you guys have actually celebrated it before. I don't know if you remember back in Sankankar when you first met Thor and Rai. This is like a million years ago. But the feast of Ibram, when there's the shout and the blowing of the trumpets to draw Ibram, the Ram of Dawn, back towards the earth to end the long winter. Well, actually, the long winter is not too bad here in the south, in the Leopard Isles, which have a much more sort of Mediterranean climate to them. But it is nonetheless midwinter when you have all finally managed to make the difficult journey south across the sea, except for Tinglebur, who was already here. Sailing in the Sea of Amborai during the winter is extremely hazardous, because it is during this time that the great poison tides reach out like long, sickly fingers from the Black Hills and the northeastern corner of the sea. But you have managed to avoid those and other perils such as pirates and storms, and arrive back in the Leopard Isles. Despite the fact that most of you did not coordinate your travels, you have, as though by chance, if chance you call it, been drawn back to the Leopard Isles, all within a day or two of each other. And of course, the first thing most of you did was try to look up Tinglebur. This proved to be a little bit harder than you had thought it might be. You sort of figured he'd be running the place by now. And it turns out he's some, incredibly dangerous outlaw. But
no, they know me well enough to know that I would have bungled it badly enough that I would not be
fair.
running the place by now.
That's fair. Actually, you're just surprised you didn't find him in an opium den or something.
Or possibly hanging on one of those cages in the harbor.
He would have been gambling.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Probably.
Tinglebur is Ben's outlet for his undiagnosed. Oh man.
Sterling Archer.
Yes, yes, his undiagnosed Sterling Archer. Oh boy. But Tinglebur is, he's met a nice girl, he's settled down, he's reformed, etc. Despite all of this, you all traveled with Tinglebur for quite some time. And so you have ways of sort of getting in touch with each other, certain protocols that you follow. And so it's not long before, after 2 or 3 days after most of you arrive, that you find yourselves once again reunited. Tinglebur, where do you meet?
That's a good question.
You do have contacts at a circus.
I was going to say, let's meet at a circus. Perhaps during a performance, we sort of gather and then as the performance reaches its crescendo, we all sort of slip out and meet in one of the side tents.
I dig it. There is a circus on the outskirts of town known as the Circus of the Damned.
Good.
And there's nothing like particularly awful about it or anything like that. It's just a dramatic name. But you have some contacts there. And in particular, the leader of the circus, Arpesh the Undying, who is a real character of a guy, but is also kind of your main contact in the city. Yeah, so you're able to, as you're attending Arpesh the Undying's famous, death-defying leap, at the crescendo of the act, you sort of melt away and meet in one of the side tents for the first time. For the first time in almost 2 years.
Is it just me, or do I have
No, it's the
Thor and Ryan?
Oh, that's up to you, I guess. Probably you don't have them with you though. You're probably not traveling with them through the city at this point.
That makes sense. Well, welcome to the Circus of the Damned and my island. Or not my island, but the island. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for getting in touch.
Did I get in touch? Is that how this happened? No, I don't know why you're here exactly. I'm assuming that Vanera is here because he's brought his beautiful family to go see the old country and visit their good old Uncle Tengelber, who defended their mother's honor at once upon a time.
Actually, no. I left them behind, safe and sound at home. I wasn't going to risk bringing them out here
Safe and sound in Prince Onway's city. That checks out.
Well, it's good to see you too. Talaria sends her love.
Well, thank you. And the twins are well, I trust?
Yes.
All right. Take after their uncle, I'm sure.
Of course.
Excellent.
And their aunt.
Oh, yes. I should... Anaris.
Tengelber.
How are you?
Long time no see.
Indeed. And...
years have been a bit rough on you.
Well, yes. I have been living underground for some of it, and I mean, I suppose I've been getting comfortable with my life. A bit less rambling about. I mean,
you look very comfortable. Thorinrai must be cooking very well for you.
I mean,
that is a little rich coming from Anaris.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, Anaris had a
Hey, the timeline's changed. No one needs to know.
Had a brush. No, this still happens. Had a brush with a lot of corruption. And in Emboria, so in Emboria, there's corruption mechanics. Maybe similar to what you might encounter in other games, but what's different about this system is that as a player, you never know how much corruption you have. The lore master keeps track of it. So I keep track of that, and when you cross certain thresholds, it starts to change you. At first, it is a corruption of the mind, evil dreams and so forth, and then eventually it takes hold of your body and actually changes and transforms your body. And Anaris's weight once increased to about 400 pounds in the space of about 3 weeks. And then there was a long pilgrimage where they had to get her somewhere to get the curse lifted. And unfortunately, she kept falling out of the boat they were in, and then trying to get back in the boat. And this was like a whole thing.
Extremely buoyant.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So yes, anyway, actually the last time they were in the Leopard Isles, Anaris was suffering from this malady. So
no longer. I look fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to see that. And have you found someone? I trust. I mean, it seems at last I heard that my friend Tenerindel here as well has found someone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And, I've been on the marches. I don't have time for someone.
Oh, doing the whole lone wolf thing, I see. Well,
I've been cleaning up skirmishes and
fair
thrusting
enough.
spears
Fair
at
enough.
people.
Well, hopefully someday love will find you.
Yes, maybe one day.
Anaris, maybe if you came back to visit, mother and your niece or your two nephews, Talaria knows plenty of families that we could put you in contact with, and mother would be more than happy to set up an arranged marriage for you.
I am sure Mother would be more than happy for me to be wearing a dress again and interacting with the socialites in Sinkinkar.
I mean, it's not so bad. You see how it went for me. A bit of dueling and gambling. It's all part of the social scene. It's not entirely boring. But Tanerindo, are you still hunter of the marches?
I still do some hunting up there. Have my own place, of course, just
Excellent.
outside of Shakor.
And protect the miners, lead the expeditions, or have you got yourself a connection up at the fort?
We're with the fort.
Oh.
I'm retired, semi-retired, I guess.
Well then, I hope you're enjoying that, and we didn't. At some point, I'm going to find out why you're all here. But
I'm not.
Rayana, good to see you again.
You too. It's been a while, and you can see like she's visibly the set of her shoulders is a little different than it had been. She looks maybe a little older than a year would account for, which isn't to say that she looks tired at this moment, but just it's been a hard year. It's good to see you as well.
Well,
how have things been in the island? I hear that it's been interesting.
Dangerous. Just a few days, weeks, days. Time is funny when you're underground all the time. Some ne'er-do-wells broke into my hidey hole and attempted to kill me at the behest of the Midnight Prince himself, and also attempted to take my boy, which did you? But thankfully, turned out all right. They seemed to find reason, and but didn't have to kill anybody. But it has forced us to relocate and sort of change some of our patterns.
What are you doing? Go on.
Oh, no, I was going to ask what the rest of you were doing here.
I'm here to find the Midnight Prince, and I thought you'd be the one to set me on the right path.
Well, it's been a bit tricky, but I welcome the assistance.
I'm here, to catch up with you, but also to stop fighting from breaking out with the Midnight Prince down here.
Why?
I'm trying to keep somebody from being assassinated, essentially, and
is this someone that I know?
Yes, the priestess, the high priestess.
Oh yes, my friend and patron, I suppose.
Oh yes, well, I'm supposed to keep her from getting assassinated, So that way, do you remember that woman who just kept always coming back into our lives and just making
Yes, the
Do
one that's
we
currently
remember
living
that woman?
the one that's currently living in my family house on the beach.
No. She's in Senkankar now.
She's the head interrogator now,
She's
remember?
the head storyteller.
Didn't we burn your
Yeah.
house down?
Storyteller.
You burnt Ben's house down. Yes.
So she is
To me,
sending the
that
assassins
woman is
down
the
here.
reunites. So
She is sending the assassins down here to kill the high priestess, so that way that she can blame it on, I believe, the Midnight Prince. So that way, fighting between the two factions will break out, and they can eliminate each other for her.
The two factions, the priestesses and the leopard
Yes.
prince. I see. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So we need to keep the priestess safe, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. We need
All
to
right.
find the assassins and stop them.
Fair enough. I mean, seems she is a friend of mine, or has been very kind to me, though perhaps she would not consider me her friend. What brings you, Tanarindel? Are you with Vanera?
Oh, how I wish that was the case. Our dear Lady Doubt and I currently has my wife and has, in fact, I'm at least one of the assassins that's supposed to kill her.
Oh.
Well,
Oh,
we
that's
could
so
leave there, my
helpful.
friend.
That's very helpful. Do you know how many other assassins are working with you?
I do not, actually. She did not relay that information to me.
All right.
All I know is that I've been put in quite a pickle.
Well, I can sympathize with you. I know what that's like to have her take your wife and get you to do things for her.
Are you on a time? Why? I mean, I need details.
Out of character, do we not have any of our memories at all from the altered timeline?
Do you remember?
I think that we decided that you did still, like those of you. Anaris wouldn't because she wasn't there when the anvil was wrong, but the rest of you.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember back when we made a promise to her?
This is the last time you were in the Leopard Isles together.
Made a promise to her to go kill this priestess, and she let us go, and then we didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Because... So yes, I am. Well, right now I am taking the brunt of not fulfilling that promise, and so I guess this is also a precaution for the rest of you who have families that she has currently not held hostage is held hostage at the moment. At least we can hope not. She told me she has agents everywhere.
That always has been her line.
Well, the half a dozen men that she went to greet me with were all looked very much like fort men from the fort.
Oh, excellent. So she has, and Lord Onorama is aware. At one point you and he were close. I recall there was a moment when he
is in fact one of the major reasons that Tellini and I got married. He with
as opposed to love and affection, or
I mean he kind of helped steer the both of us in each other's directions.
Oh, well, that's good to hear that you have a patron.
But as far as I know, he doesn't know, or he doesn't know what's going down here. I highly doubt she would actually let that slip to him, and I couldn't. I was basically held prisoner, given money and held prisoner until I got on the boat to head down here. So he's over where we first met her at, So I'm taking that sort of route would have made it very obvious what I was trying to do.
I see. Well, and Anaris, are you here to, I don't know, prevent me from killing someone, potentially kill someone that is good to me?
Well, Tinglebell, if I wasn't here, who would protect you and who would have your back and who would protect Venera in his silly dress? And I mean,
The robe. It's my scholarly robe.
is it though?
So
Is it?
did you just have a sense that we would need protecting on this particular day?
I mean, when I heard Venera was coming here, I was like, he's going to get himself shot in the ass. So here I am.
Never have I ever.
Here I am, protecting him. And in turn, I will protect you as well, Tinglebird. No worries.
Well, thank you. I mean, I apparently am surrounded by a cadre of terrifying and violent women. Between my beloved Thornrye, yourself, Rihanna, I feel very protected. Well, in that case, so to my mind, at least, it seems that the first order of business is clearly to do something about Tanarindal's particular predicament. What proof did the chief persuasion officer request in order to show that
Storyteller.
Storyteller.
Oh, so the the vice president of narrative.
Yes. Yes.
What did she ask for proof that you had completed your mission?
She really didn't ask for anything. All she said she would know if it was completed or not.
I see. So,
do you have a team working with you? Like, I know you don't know who all they are, but is she expecting only you to do it?
Again, I don't know if she has other assassins.
I would assume
here on the island. She probably would not have told me, or she did it tell me, I probably would not have.
My sources said there were 2 assassins sent to kill her. So, I mean, that doesn't mean there aren't more, but we've at least found 1.
And she has your family, Vanera?
I don't know now. Now I'm worried and think I should have brought them with me. But I thought, why would I bring my family to the Leopard Isles where everything's crazy? But
palm trees.
I forget, why are you here to stop the fighting? That's the part that I've forgotten.
Because it will serve her purposes somehow.
But why are you trying to serve her purposes somehow?
I'm not. I'm trying to stop it. I'm trying to save
It almost.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Poor little old woman from being killed.
I see. Okay, I understand.
It almost makes me wonder if she's not trying to plot us against each other.
I mean,
I'm just trying to make sure Venera and Tanglebird don't get themselves murdered over here.
Venera, who sent you?
Is it Nakor? Is that his name, Richard?
Yeah, the scribe.
You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
He's my
Nakor.
Yes.
Right. All right. Good man, and typically on our side, so that's helpful. And he's concerned. Also, doesn't he have a bit of future sight?
Yes,
I believe so.
That's tricky.
So okay, go on.
No, go ahead.
So we need to protect the priestess, preferably in a way that makes her look dead for a little while.
Correct.
long enough for us to get back to Chakor. After we've taken care of this issue with the Midnight Prince. Specifically, I don't care if he's alive or he's dead, but I need his cloak.
Oh, and why is that?
It's a long story.
You've come a long way.
I have come a long way. My mission was successful, and I did find Prince Galal.
Again, with burying the leads.
I've just been sitting here waiting for it.
The true prince lives. All right. Well,
the true prince lives. He's in the Red Isles,
and
He's
we are
safe.
not marching on this capital. Why?
No. His time in captivity has left him a broken man. His mind has been shattered. The very few who know that he has the sword. He has the Horror Uropame with him. But he is so broken that the few people who know that he has been rescued doubt that he has the ability to lead the people. That said, Rensos has seen visions. He has the second sight, that when the ancient tokens of kingship, of which there are 5, which I'm sure you are familiar with, when they are brought to him, then he will be healed. And so the cloak is, of course, the Hor Uopane is one of these tokens, one of these 5 tokens, and we already have that. Another, the Key of Rancor, the builder, is in the Red Isle already.
Ranhor, not Rancor.
Ranhor. Sorry.
Rancor is a Star Wars thing.
And then I need the Nyatbore crown, which all kings are crowned with, and the gem of Fanhal from the Chebori. But also the 5th one is the mantle of midnight, which the Prince of Midnight wears.
Oh.
I have to obtain these 5 for.
Now, the funny thing is, I'm given to understand that the whole cloak is sort of it's handed down to the person who kills them sort of situation.
Well,
and is more of a burden than really a. Maybe that's perhaps because you're not a king. Maybe that's how that sort of thing works.
Or perhaps it's because it's meant to go to the true prince, the king.
Right,
And
exactly.
The Prince of Midnight is usurping. But nevertheless, whatever reason it's passed down, I have to obtain it before the prince can be healed.
Right then. So, short laundry list. A, stay alive. Thank you to Anaris. B, keep the abbess alive. Thank you, Vanera. No thank you, Tanarindal. Rescue Tanarindal's beloved. Are there any small Tanarindals at this point? Well, that does make things.
Technically, Tanarindal is the small Tanarindal because he's Tanarindal Jr.
True. So so fair enough. And somehow save Tillini from the clutches of those vile witch from the Royal Hill. And finally, a quest of which I hold great personal investment: kill the Prince of Midnight and steal his cloak. This seems like it's going to be a very busy few days.
Well, you probably won't be able to get it all done, obviously, tonight. And I'll just say to that, I'm happy to do a follow-up session, but also keep in mind, you guys are the leaders of a faction. You're going to have parties, at least 3, that you will be able to task with some of these things. And in fact, until those sessions are played out, I won't be putting this video out. So just keep that in mind as you're making your plans about what you want to pursue immediately versus the things that you want to send other groups after, because you will have people, at least 3 parties, to do your bidding, as it were.
Okay. Question, Canarindo. The world is full of killers and married men. Is there a particular reason you were selected for this task?
Well, Dalton, chose me in particular.
Right. I mean, she has all of the kingdom at her disposal. And as I said, I'm sure quite a few of them are married and perhaps even more willing to do so.
Probably because we were supposed to kill her in the first place and we didn't kill her. So she's taking vengeance on us. On a member of our group.
I'm assuming this predicament I am is the consequences of a promise unfulfilled.
Right. Now, as I recall, we actually asked the abbess how we might, well, I suppose realities being what they are, that's not particularly useful. Well,
what were you thinking?
Oh, just the fact that essentially we broke our promise, yes, but she assured us that breaking a promise to an evil woman to do an evil thing was not so much that perhaps making the promise itself was the greater sin than breaking it.
Well, yes, I see. Yes.
So, and I suppose that does
which
come
is
with
no less
consequences.
true, but yes.
Exactly. Well, in such being the case, where would you like to begin?
Can we send a faction to rescue the wife?
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes.
We
Right.
would like to send a faction on a mission.
So you are the faction, but you want to send a group of players, basically.
Yes.
Yes.
I would to rescue the wife, but also where is she? Is she still in Takor?
I have no clue.
Well, it's either be in Sinkinkar.
It's either. I feel like it's either Chakor or Sinkinkar.
Well, that's a pretty big difference if we're sending a group after.
Well, wouldn't it be Sinkinkar since it's the chief storyteller who is in Sinkinkar?
Not necessarily. I mean, she has reach, clearly.
Yeah.
Did she meet with you in Chakor? Is that where she got a hold of you?
No, she got a hold of me at my house.
But
Did you notice
Chakor,
that
right?
your wife was missing? Were you there when this happened?
I went out on a hunting trip, and when I came back, the door was left open, and the witch was waiting for me with about a half dozen men.
I see.
She's not a witch. She just has your wife.
So, ostensibly, we could send word to. I mean, if I'm understanding it correctly, it almost sounds as if Onorama could effectively be your godfather, sort of guided you two together. You.
Yes.
So,
yes. I wish I could have had the opportunity to let him know, or let my father know.
Well, perhaps then we now bear actually let either of them know safely, since apparently, assuming that the rest of us haven't been in task with this particular deed, she doesn't feel that we are quite within her reach, which perhaps means that our goings are not quite so. She's not quite so aware of our comings and goings. So this meeting, of course.
She certainly would be aware of Vanara's family.
Right.
Yes, but with the alternate timeline, is she even aware that we have a history?
Oh yeah, for sure.
She is?
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently that particular moment stayed.
Oh.
Not that much changed, you guys.
Yeah, well, and also we were the ones that, warned the city to close the gates. We were the ones, like, as a group that went to Onorama and told him about it, so that he came and rescued the city. Like,
you guys are relatively famous people, yeah.
All right, well, Anaris.
So
does that same undo the murders that I did early on in our campaign? Has everyone just forgotten about that?
No, we haven't forgotten.
I don't think we've forgotten, but you're not wanted for murder currently, if that is what you were asking.
Yes, that is exactly what I was asking.
Because technically you were legally dead after that, and so you're famous for being like some other people.
So the concern that I have, so if Tenorendal's wife is in Sincankar, then whoever is tasked with going and finding and rescuing her should probably also be asked to warn Vanara's family to go someplace else. Surely before you left, you set up a safe place so that if you were to send word to them, then they would know.
Now, Vanara, you do trust. I mean, Nakor has survived a long time. Like, you do trust that
I figured
they're in relatively safe hands with him.
Yeah, Nakor.
Okay, so they're with him. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, just trying to make sure that if we send somebody somewhere, they're not just leaving out a whole, important thread. Okay.
Yep.
All right, what were you wanting to say to Anaris?
Well, Anaris is meant to protect us here, but would she have, with your lone wolf comings and goings, I'm sure you know all sorts of ne'er-do-wells and rapscallions and various other people of ill repute. Would you perhaps know someone capable of getting word back to Onorama of that his, for lack of a better way of putting it, godson and his wife are in danger at the hands of Falfanai?
Richard, would I know someone like that?
In terms of like knowing somebody in the Leopard Isles?
Or even if we were to send word that once is on the other side, could potentially take word so surreptitiously.
I guess that is crossing over into his turf.
Right. So my question is just where? Where are you?
I guess Tanglebird is asking if you know someone on that side, but
somebody working for the storytellers.
Well, no. Someone on the other side of the water, back over in.
So in Sincankar or in Chakor? Chakor. Chakor is the town, but like in the north. All right, give me a culture other roll, Arthur.
Culture other roll. Is that where I would have been stationed as a warden of the march?
No, march wardens live basically a long way away from there on the western edge of the.
Hey, Arthur.
Of the Sothbury lands.
What is your culture other? Before you roll, please.
It is 15%.
Okay. I am going to. Before you roll.
I mean, Rihanna, you don't have to roll. You know people, like you, because you own like property and stuff there. You still have the inn. You haven't been there in a little while, but yeah, you've got people there.
Okay. So we don't have to roll?
You don't have to roll. Like, you know people that you trust pretty well.
Okay.
So I'm asking the wrong person from what it sounds like. It sounds like I should be asking Rihanna.
So, I know people who can have words with Onorama. And you're right, he's crossing over into, or she is crossing over into his turf, and he might take issue with that. It seems like a bit of a challenge to have somebody just taken out of Chakor like that.
Well, in that case, and as I say, it seems like there's a pre-existing relationship. Like he bears Tanarindo some affection of some sort. Right. Then who can we tell it in Chakor? Who would you know, Rihanna, that we could have take word to Lord Onorama?
I mean, there's Soralus.
Well, yeah.
Oh. Keep it simple, I suppose.
But also, like, you own the inn.
Yeah.
What was it called? I don't remember now.
It's not the listing Harkle, right?
Not the listing Harkle. You never named it. Well, anyway, Rihanna,
We just kept talking around names, and they all just didn't. Anyway.
The one-eyed.
It could be the
Oh,
stone.
yeah, we decided not to go with that. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The Stoned Kings. Just gonna put that out
there. Anyway, so so you have an inn that you still own, unless you sold it. And
nope.
So I mean, you've got people there that you certainly do trust.
I've sent people on missions from there.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, actually you have. One of which you're still playing through. So that character is one of the characters. She's just like needs to get out of the little time loop she's in, but not a big deal. We've all been there.
Little thing.
We really have.
Literally, we have actually all been there.
Okay, so that's one. So we've got that thing taken care of. Is that it? Does that work for you, Tenorindal?
As long as whoever you're contacting, you trust enough not to be one of her spies.
I do.
That works. Then that works for me.
Okay. So at this point, you're okay. So we're not trying to kill the priestess, and everyone's okay with that now.
Tanarindo has joined the side of the light. Now, which leaves us, of course, the second issue, which is Vanera's mission. There are 2 assassins, and finding the other assassin.
Yes.
I can, of course, begin by probing my network and finding, sending my eyes and ears into the streets, seeing who may have recently arrived and who may have been asking untoward questions. And perhaps that might give us some leads.
Yes.
And let us begin there, of course. In the meantime, Vanera, you are a man of many books. And I suppose I should have written you long ago had I not been in hiding. How should we go about finding the Prince of Midnight?
How did we do it last time?
Drugs.
Drugs.
Yes. I remember that. I do remember that. It was a guy out.
So Ben, just remember that you did capture and interrogate Yalafir, who was the guy that had the drugs.
That's our man with the
Yes. What you learned from him, is that is that neither he nor any of the neither he nor any of the agents of the Prince of Midnight in the city have had direct contact with the prince. They always meet with him via these the dream messages.
Okay.
However, he does mention that there is that there are groups of like borderline like worshippers in the city, people who revere the Prince of Midnight as a semi-divine figure. And one of them may or may not know, but none of his agents, or at least none of the ones that Yalafir had dealings with, have ever actually met him in person. This is this strange thing about the rule of midnight, is that there's this enigmatic figure supposedly ruling over the island, but everyone assumes everybody else has met him, but nobody's ever actually seen him.
The people you're describing sound decidedly cuckoo.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be a bad time. Like we're talking like Charles Manson groupies.
Yeah. Certainly fanatics.
Okay. Well, I don't know how much time we have, but that seems like another angle we should probe. But
So we need to. Okay. All right.
yeah. On the other hand, I suppose by this time I've asked Thornrai. I mean, she and he were apparently lovers at one time. I assume that didn't take place in a hallucinogenic state.
It did not.
It seems as if it couldn't have.
We've actually like played this conversation out before, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know where he is.
She doesn't know where he is.
Even though she probably hung out in his grotto.
Doesn't she have like a lost child with him too or something?
Yes, that's the son.
Yes, that would be my stepson, yes. Okay. Well, I mean, to me, that sounds like we have sort of a game plan. Send word to Lord Onorama through friends of Rihanna's, trusted people.
Rescue Tinarindal's wife.
And therefore rescue Tenarindal's wife. Use our network to begin looking for this second assassin and bring them down. Potentially, at the process, if possible, dismantle Falfanai's spy network. It would be nice to see them evicted from the Levered Isles entirely.
That's on the it would be nice list.
Yeah, that's the bonus list.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of Carnies versus spy action. And then
I like it.
And then finally, of course, find a way to the Isle of the Grotto of the Midnight Prince, steal the mantle back, and assist in restoring the prince to his former self. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
All right.
How would you like to begin?
Well, we're sending word, secure word to Lord Onorama.
Right. So I'll handle that whenever one of the groups in. You basically tell me, I was thinking we'd probably go till about 10:30 tonight, if that's okay for everyone.
Okay.
So my question was first, basically, like, what do you want to do tonight? That's my question.
Sure.
What do you want to do tonight? Because everything else, like anything else you want to deputize one of the groups that would be basically made up of people who are part of your networks of friends and allies that you've made over the years. That stuff, that's fine. We can work that out offline. But like, what do you want to do tonight?
Let's find this assassin.
Assassin, or start asking about the Midnight Prince?
I think the assassin is the more pressing thing, right? If we don't stop them, assassin kills Mother Superior.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas the Midnight Prince, while he is obviously operating again, is not as much less on a clock, so to speak. So that's my vote.
Okay, I'm down.
All right.
How would you like to begin?
Let's begin by, as I said, by probing the network. The people that we know, we talk to them or put word out that we're looking for someone new to the island, someone asking questions, someone perhaps a stranger that's been hanging around the Abbey gates and perhaps staking the place out.
You want to talk to Apesh?
I think we do. Did you have any other information, Vanera, about this individual?
I did not. Just that there were two assassins.
Should we also warn the Mother Superior?
I think we should just go ahead and give her the heads up. I mean, she probably knows people want to kill her, but
Though also it's possible that us showing up there, I mean, we're certainly watched. So there's that.
I have a thought.
Yes.
How about I dress up and pretend to be one of these priestesses, and I will be the bodyguard for the Mother Superior at all times.
I mean, it's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
Are you sure you can do something so pious, though?
Very funny, brother. Very funny.
But also maybe a valid question.
I think it is a valid question.
I believe, though, that might be our best chance at making sure that the Mother Superior is safe while we're out looking for the assassin.
Not a bad idea. I like it.
I mean, go for it if you want.
All right. Well, I think we should probably make our way to the Mother Superior.
I'm concerned that Anaris didn't have any other motivations for being here, like the rest of us. Anaris doesn't have a pressure point that she's told us about.
Is that in character?
You what?
Is that in character? If you're implying that I'm one of the assassins sent to kill the Mother Superior, then you are very, very far off of why I am here.
I mean, nobody said it till just now.
Oh boy. Wouldn't that
There's
be
no reason that I would think that Tenorendil was one of the assassins either. Tenorendil saved my life on many occasions. I would never think that he would be here to do this thing, but he has reasons for doing it and wanting it, he has reasons for being.
You say that, but we did force him to throw a cursed longbow over the side of the ship after persisting that it was fine for a very long time. not to dredge up all of our worst moments, because stars only know I've had mine. But
no, I certainly do remember that.
Do you remember the time that you completely ruined the life of a random dude in Senkimkar by giving him a gambling addiction? Oh man, that shouldn't be funny.
I swear by my life that the Mother Superior will be safe under my care.
Okay.
I believe we've all been together long enough that I would not
swear to me. Oh wait, sorry, guys. Wrong thing.
So, I guess perhaps were you simply coming to the Isle to, as you say, keep your brother safe?
Yeah, it would have been completely true if the pressure, and that would be why Vanrad's here, or a reason why he ended up here.
If you wish to know my true purpose here,
that would be the time.
That will be a conversation for another time.
What a terrible way to lead that sentence off.
Right.
It is not the kind of thing, it is not the conversation to have in front of the whole group.
Well, if you would like me to turn my back, I'm happy to.
I mean, to be fair, we all basically put the timeline back together once upon a time. So,
and everybody else was super honest about their motivations.
So, like, if anything, I would have been the one to keep my secret, especially knowing that what's being leveraged against me.
I'm not saying I have any secret to keep.
But you did arrive on the island at a very convenient time. Apparently,
yes.
Coordinating with I didn't know you were coming. Apparently, Vanera, your very brother, is very surprised to see you here.
I'm simply here to protect you all. Let's just leave it at that for the
Perhaps
moment.
then.
But tell us what you're protecting us from.
And who sent you to protect us? And how do you know that we need protecting? Besides, running a small revolution.
That answers the question.
Well, I mean, I've been doing this for a year now. You could have come a bit earlier.
I will say that nobody sent me, and I am here of my own will.
Is it all right to roll perception to see how much?
Normally, I don't allow that for in PvP. Like, you just have to decide what you think the other person is thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, I've been with y'all for years now. I'm not just.
Well, I mean, as we say, and we've all been there, leverage can be applied.
And I guess I would challenge you as to what does Honori, the lone wolf, as you'll like to call me, have to leverage me to
We don't
do
like
anything.
to call you that. I think you like to call you that.
Pretty much just us. We're the leverage, and you said you were here to protect us.
Exactly. So there you go.
So,
Again,
but
nobody
leveraging-
sent you.
Nobody sent me.
You chose this moment to arrive in the Isles. Well, and apparently there is some secret conversation that you and I need to have.
It was convenient. Venera was coming. I didn't want him to die and leave his wife and children fatherless and a widow. And so here I am to protect him. And Tangleba, you seem to have gotten yourself in a bit of a mess here.
But also happily married.
That's debatable. And so so it just seems like a mess here, and I'm here to clean up the mess.
Oh, clean it up then. Oh, new sheriff in town. Well,
all right.
If you want the Midnight Prince slain, I'm the one to do it.
I thought you were protecting the Mother Superior.
I'm also going to do that, and then we'll go kill the Midnight Prince. We can't do all of these things at once.
Right. Fine. Keep your secrets. Well, in that case, let's go see the Mother Superior. And now that we've sort of established you're not here to kill her.
Were you going to try to talk to Apesh first, or are you just going straight to the Mother Superior?
Apesh being my network connection.
Apesh the Undying is the head of the circus.
Right. Okay. You know what? We're here.
And also
let's talk
your local network connection. I mean, you can do whatever you want to. I was just trying to remind you.
Just part of my local area network.
Yep. Literally. Yeah.
Yep. Then yes, I guess we'll talk to Apesh. My friends, let's go talk to my friend Apesh. He's the ringmaster here, a man of some renown and standing in the community in his own way.
In the way that, a circus person could have. But yes, sure, yes. Yes. Okay. Apesh the Undying is a well-built man. And when you see him, he is currently being oiled down by two young women who are also in their circus gear. He's naked to the waist. His pants are kind of like lined with gold thread. He's got kind of like a whale, both whale oiled and well oiled, I suppose. Just like a well oiled like chest and back. You can see rippling muscles. He has full lips with a slight sort of a smolder or a pout to them, and very striking, like not really purple eyes, but they're more clear purple, like amethyst. Um, Long copper colored sort of chestnut hair going down to the middle of his back. And then just a very delicate sort of a Van Dyke, like, just like a very delicately trimmed beard and mustache. He is by his own, he's also like a little short on the short side, but you wouldn't know it just based on how he carries himself. He is by his own billing, clear to see from the signs around the circus, as well as the ways in which he introduces himself. He is a fine specimen of a man.
Now, before we go in, Norris, I should say that if you're
To
looking
control
to
yourself.
have a wandering lifestyle with a wonderful man, you could do worse than a Pesh. I mean, I will make it my duty while you are here on the island, to find you the right man. And I'm sure once you see him, all doubts will flee your mind. I mean,
I'm
could live in a
very
circus
content
tent.
with my current life.
Are you though? Right, my friends, behold a Pesh the Undying. As the signs say, a true specimen, as such as has never been seen in the Leopard Isles before, and the like will never be seen again. Take it in every sense of the word.
Apesh's friend, his good friend Tanglebur. It is Apesh's great joy to welcome you back to the Circus of the Damned. What brings you to Apesh?
Well, first of all,
A
the
little
opening...
lower, dear. I've got a spot right here.
Elbow Norris. Now imagine you could spend the rest of your life doing that. Undying. He's always going to look this good. Now,
tell me, who are your friends, especially the sweet young pretty ones?
Well, Van Vanra here is taken, but
I think we've only got the one sweet young pretty one.
Oh, don't undersell yourself, Rihanna. And your time, you
thinks you undersell yourself. Apesh knows an experienced woman when he meets one. And he takes your hand and kisses it with his full oiled lips.
You can never wash that hand now, by the way.
Yes.
But you may like to do so. Well, Apesh,
please tell Apesh how he can help you.
Your opening act today was exquisite. Please give my compliments to the tumbling trio. Now, as we've discussed in the past, you and I have a bit of an arrangement, do we not? You know,
my
people.
Dears, Apesh appreciates your work as always, but Apesh needs his privacy with his friends. Run along now. Apesh will come find you later. The girls leave, and tent flap kind of closes behind them.
I stick my head out to make sure there's nobody, All right. Well-trained friends of yours there, Apesh.
Yes, Apesh only looks for the best.
Now, as I said, we have a bit of an understanding, you and I, right? That a bit of an exchange when necessary. We're looking for someone.
Tell Apesh who you are looking for. There is no one, living or dead, who Apesh cannot find.
Really? I would like to know who my true father is. But that's a question for another time. um, so, we're looking for someone new to the Isles. None of these people here, of course, but who may, in fact, be asking some untoward questions. Probably would have landed within the last few days. Wondering is asking questions about the Mother Superior, the Convent of the Dawn, perhaps hanging about the gates, observing the comings and goings. Anyone of that sort, something that might have just piqued a little bit of extra interest.
New to the island, you say? Apesh will put out feelers like the fearsome octopus, and he will let you know what he finds.
Excellent. And let us know what expenses you accrue in the process. If some grubby little hands need greasing.
He rubs his chest. Sometimes it is more than just your hands which need greasing.
Clearly.
But Apesh understands. Is this all Apesh can help you with?
Well, I think so. That is a place to start.
Part of that, out of character, but part of that goal was dismantling the spy network.
Right. Now, also, again, you know about our arrangement, and I know about your friends and people that the eyes and ears which you maintain throughout the city. Would you say that you're not the only one who has such an arrangement here on the island? Not with you, of course, but with perhaps others.
There are many eyes in the city, and in the islands, and in the sea. Apesh knows that the servants of the Black Prince, they are everywhere, infesting the island. And then there are the servants of the Mad King. They are also everywhere, infesting the island, but it is very easy to tell them apart.
Is it because of the swastikas on the forehead?
I do not know it is a swastika, but in Apesh's keen judgment, the followers of the Black Prince, they are fanatics, like the sons of the leopard you have heard of, no doubt.
Fair.
The servants of the Mad King, they are, how you say, very dull people. Real people are not so dull as these people. This is how you know them. A real man, he wants a little bit of drink, a little bit of gambling, a little bit of women. Perhaps he wants to go see a play on the week. Yes. But one of these gray men, these, how you say, storytellers, they don't want to drink, they don't want to dice, they don't want to see women, they don't want to go to a play. They just keep their noses to the grindstone. It's not natural. Apesh does not approve.
Neither do I.
That is because you are a man of the world and you understand how things are.
It's true. It's how I've gotten where I am in life. Well, you say they're easy to find then?
Yes, I could tell you the location of one right now.
Who?
Which were you wanting? You were wanting the servants of the Black Prince or the servants of the Mad King?
Let's start with the servants of the Mad King. Personally, I'd like to see them evicted from the Isle entirely. As you say, not men of culture.
Not a man of culture at all. That is why Apesh is very sorry he cannot help you. Sadly, Apesh's palms, they are dry.
Well, I mean, that can be helped. I do have a bit of silver at my disposal, but of course, you know me. There may come a time when Apesh needs Tanglebur as much as Tanglebur needs Apesh.
So romantic.
Well, not in that way.
Sorry. The way you said it.
How much gold does Tonarindo currently have on him?
Whatever's on your character sheet.
I'm talking about what Witch
right.
Queen gave me.
She gave you 250 silver stars for your journey.
250 silver stars.
Hey.
I press some coin into his hand. Non-brief hands.
There is a prefect in the city. His name is Karalu.
What's his name?
Keralu. Keralu.
Okay.
Even though the Iberian alphabet does not actually have vowels, it just uses diacritic marks.
Understood.
Apesh, I did not know you were a linguist.
Karalu, Prefect Karalu. He is, as I said, a very dull man. Apesh notices such men when they are in positions of power because they become surprisingly difficult to bribe. I guarantee. Apesh guarantees you go through this man's belongings, you go through his house, you go through his possessions, you go through his will to live, and you will find what you're looking for.
Well then, I think we have a place to start. Any of my friends here have questions for my good man Apesh? Perhaps.
Well,
I can tell you the secrets to you. Apesh can tell you the secrets to youth and longevity. He can also tell you the secrets of how to get abs like these.
I think we should probably make our way to the Mother Superior.
As interesting as all of that sounds, I would like to know some about the followers of the Midnight Prince. You said that, and I press more coin into his hands, a generous amount.
At first, this hand only was greasy, but now both are full of oil. It is good to have moist skin, is it not?
I'm sorry, I'm going to Doctor Who. Moisturize me.
Yeah.
I rolled a bunch of random character traits for Apesh, and it just was the most beautiful character. Oh boy. Sorry. Apesh steeples his fingers and he says, if you are looking for the servants of the Dark Prince, the Sons of Midnight, all you have to do is ask them, and you will find it difficult to get them to shut up. about their lord and master. They are
Vegetarians?
CrossFitters. It's worse. No, they are they will not stop talking about this jujitsu. I don't know what it is, but no, they are a company of the Knights of the Leopard Skin. The knights errant who have sworn themselves to the Black Prince's cause. There is a chapter house outside the city to the north, along the coast. It is there that they meet.
Well, and
Do you know of anyone who's actually seen the Midnight Prince?
Apesh does not have enough palms for so much grease. If I knew, what the secret that would be. Buckets of grease, barrels, tubs of grease. But no. The secret of the Midnight Prince, even Apesh is impressed. But Apesh will tell you for nothing that if you seek to find him, the Sons of Midnight, that is where to begin.
and heavily armed, these Sons of Midnight, or is it more of a, circle? You stand in a circle, hold hands around a campfire, and sing sort of affair.
They are knights errant.
So yes, not singing.
They may sing. Apesh does not know. But they are certainly dangerous people, not just because they are knights and heavily armed and heavily armored and have years of training in the martial arts and what else, practice fighting and formations and so on, but also because they are fanatics. And a fanatic is the only thing more dangerous than a circus performer. Also, leopards, like the sea leopards, very dangerous. You should not make fun of them.
No, I found it to be quite kind and generous in my time.
You always had the best luck, Tanglebur.
Well, I didn't happen to meet you, so I can't argue.
That is true. Well, Apesh will put out word to see what he can find about such assassins and other figures in town. Is there anything else you need, my friend?
Rayana asked some very fine questions. Anyone else have anything they wish to ask Apesh? Well then, sir. We should not keep you further from your performance.
Yes, Apesh should go and limber up for the next act. The ladies will be interested to know that I move my hips in some very unexpected ways in this next act.
Is it dysplasia?
Invented.
You have heard of double jointed? This is more like quadruple jointed.
That can't be good for you, Apesh. Just
Is
saying.
anybody else worried about the Mother Superior at this moment? It just seems like there's an assassin on the loose. We're
Very
talking a lot
concerned.
about hips.
I think we need to go check on her immediately.
Too bad. You got the next show. Apesh, he will always be here.
Undying, my friend.
Undying.
And if the gods bless me, I will never be here again.
Oh, don't be a puss. It's a fantastic show.
All right, so you guys are
Come along, dear.
You guys are headed to the convent of the Ram of Dawn in hopes of seeing the Mother Superior.
Yes, we go directly from the Circus of the Damned to the convent.
What
That
time of
checks
day
out.
is it?
Good question. It is probably late afternoon.
Are we being
it's
followed?
it's about the time of the opening of the book. Give me a perception test.
Thank you.
If all 5 of us walk in there, isn't that going to be a lot more suspicious? Would it make more sense just to have?
Wait, are we all giving a perception test right now?
Nope, just Rihanna.
Just to have,
One with the one eye.
yeah, just to have 2 of us.
You
go
do
in.
have a negative trait for this.
I also have a positive one though.
Yeah, they cancel out.
Yeah. But nevertheless, I rolled 70 over 68.
Nice. As far as you can tell, you're not being followed.
Cool.
At some point before we get there, Tanarindo is going to give his weapons to Rayana.
And I assume this is so you can't defend yourself when
Why?
tough-and-eyed thugs want to pay you a visit?
I glance at them. Are any of them like have red amber?
No. At least
right.
they should not have.
Is this to help you restrain yourself? Or is it to signal to whoever's watching that this isn't what you're... Why are you giving me your weapons?
It's to restrain myself.
I see. What weapons does he have? What was I
And
just
are they
handed?
better than mine?
Brianna now has like 13
So I
weapons
have
now.
a spear and a long sword and a long bow and whatever you have.
I have a Moreland bow, a great axe, and a dagger.
All right.
Very big weapons. Moreland bow is like a long bow.
Give the woman who's looking like old and weary all the big guys.
Not just older than you know.
Just a comical number of weapons at this point on Rihanna. Yeah. That should
There
go
comes
over...
a point where you look dangerous, and then there's a point where you're really not dangerous anymore because you trip over your own weapons. All right, I've got his weapons.
So that should go over real well when you guys get to the convent. It's 10:30, so I think that we'll stop right here.
All right.
And we'll talk about scheduling a follow-up session after the recording's over. In the meantime, everyone, I hope you've had a good time. I hope
Fantastic.
that you check out the rest of the... Not talking about you, Ben. I hope everybody watching at home has had a good time. I hope you check out the rest of the Midnight War. There'll be probably at least one more prologue episode after this one, as we divide this one up into 2 sessions, and that'll make it like a little more manageable and also lets us get to bed at a reasonable hour. But yeah, so there'll be one more after this, and then the actual episodes with the Kickstarter backers will start. So I probably won't release this until we've recorded at least the first wave of those, because I don't want what's happened in this session to actually prejudice actions that people take, because some people will be working for the storytellers. Others will be working for the Prince of Midnight. And others will be working for this group of players. I don't know if you guys ever came up with a name for yourselves as a party.
World Breakers.
Yeah.
The Stone Kings, still an option, guys.
Good to have you back, Arthur. Good to have you back.
Well, we'll have to workshop it.
Workshop it, yeah. But yes, so yeah, thank you everyone for watching at home. Arthur, PJ, Hope, Ben, Sophie, Thank you guys enormously. You have no idea just like how relaxed I feel having the old gang back together. It's like I set everything up, and then basically I've been sitting here saying nothing while you guys talk. It's been awesome. So yeah, so when we resume, you guys will be headed to the convent of the Ram of Dawn to attempt to get a meeting with Mother Zishune, which is not always an easy thing to do, and we'll go from there. So you guys have a great evening. Everybody have a great week or weekend or whenever it is that this drops, and we'll see you next time in the world under starlight.